Everyone, welcome to another episode of Independent Artists Unite Song Series. Super special episode today. My guest host, Retro Casie. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you for
Hi.
agreeing to do this. Yeah, we're gonna.
Oh, you're
Yeah,
welcome.
so I have got this new album out, and so you have graciously accepted to being my guest host, and thank you for your courage.
Oh, yes. Well, thank you for asking me.
Yeah, well, I just love your vibe of your posts, and and then when we talked over Instagram, I could just these are my people. These are my people.
Oh, well, thank you. No, it's
So I
definitely
thought
me
it'd be
too.
cool to shake it up a little bit. Now, of course, I want to promote uh, the new album, and this is a great way to do it. And So I guess we're going to talk about promises today. We talked about doing this in a lot of different ways, and then we decided, maybe we'll just go with the usual Independent Artists Unite episode. I guess I was always pissed when like Coca-Cola tried to change it up and stuff like that with their branding. I was like, come on, just give me the original Coke.
Yeah, no, this is a good formula. It works.
So we're going with the original Independent Artists Unite concept. So, and we'll put it out there, if people have some questions, and people had some interesting things to talk about. And also, we were going to do these mini episodes, but then it was kind of like the topics kind of kept growing, and it seemed like maybe this is more than a minute and a half of discussion. So,
Yes.
but what do you got there for questions? What do you
Well,
or
if you
what do
don't
you
mind,
what how do you want to start? You
well, I would like to start before I ask my questions. I just want to know a little bit about your background and how you got into music because I'm just curious to know.
Yeah, well, I come from a very musical family.
Okay.
My mom played the piano, my dad played the piano and the clarinet and the guitar, and I have four older sisters. The
Wow.
oldest one has a
Are you the only
PhD in.
brother?
I'm sorry?
Are you the only brother?
Yeah, I'm the only brother. Yeah, uh, I'm,
Oh, wow.
I'm the only man. I
Wow.
wear
Okay.
more makeup than my sisters do, but
Nothing
um,
wrong with
yeah,
that.
not a measure of one's manhood. But yeah, my oldest sister, she's got a PhD in musicology, and
Oh, wow.
she's a teacher, and she was like a player piano. She's one of those people that can sit down and play any song. Well, just by hearing it, she just
I
sits down and
hear it.
plays it.
He
And
has that natural ear. Wow.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
great.
yeah. And my three other sisters were all actually they played some instruments too. One played the guitar, one played the bass in a band. But what they do amazingly is they go right into singing four-part harmony because they've done that all their lives. So by the time even my youngest sister is 4 years older than I am. So especially holidays, but all the time really. But for holidays, birthdays, anything, and with that many people in the family, there's always an occasion to get around the piano, and my sister would play, and we'd do these songs of the 70s, and especially musical theater things. And so, and a favorite was Jesus Christ Superstar, which,
Oh, okay.
and so you know, they would go into these three-part harmonies on the female part, and then I got to do all of the male parts. So I got to be Jesus Christ and Judas in one,
Oh,
and that's a pattern that followed me throughout.
oh, wow. Okay.
But yeah, that was the beginnings of it, and it was yeah, I guess it was the challenging part was even though my parents had these 5 super creative kids. They tried to steer us into a more practical career. So they wanted us to get a liberal arts education. They wanted us to, get jobs that were like good jobs, so that they thought steady jobs. And so they really kind of forced us into this. They paid for our educations, yeah, but only if you get this liberal arts education, da da da. You can always do your artwork on the side or whatever. And it caused this huge, like, journey for all of us, where we all took this huge circular journey back to later in life, ending up exactly where we intended to be when we were 13 years old. We all
Yes.
found our way back to a creative life. So it was all pointless. So parents, discover who your kids are and support that. Don't try to force them into anything. That's my parenting message for the day. But yeah, that was painful. But that ended up me getting. But I was in bands, I would say, from when I was like 16 years old.
Okay.
So with neighborhood friends, started doing cover songs and stuff like that in bands, and then started writing my own songs already at uh, at that, yeah, maybe 15 or 16. And yeah, just kept on going. Even though I graduated high school, I went to university and had a new band there, and then moved to New York City and had a series of bands there. I was in New York City for 22 years, and
Oh,
probably had
where
five or
were you
six bands.
before that? Where were you before you
That
moved
well,
to?
I grew up in well, moved around a little bit. I was born in Syracuse, New York, and then just at like 1.5, moved to a suburb of Baltimore, Maryland, and then in high school moved to this new town in a small town in Pennsylvania, near Allentown, Pennsylvania. And
I lived in Pittsburgh, so
oh,
I'm
is that
I'm
right? Okay, yeah. And I
I
think
went to school
Pennsylvania
there.
can be rough, yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
people
went to
that are
college.
different, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was made fun of and bullied a lot, in high school. I had bleached hair, and was made fun of for being gay, even though I wasn't. And
We would have been friends then.
yeah, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of
Yeah.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was
Anyone that
asking every
anyone
day.
that was a little bit different, I was like, hey.
Right.
Usually I met in art class. That was my favorite class, was art
Oh
class.
yeah.
Had
Of
all the
course.
all the freaks like sat in one table.
Right. Well, every day they would ask me, whose funeral is it?
Yeah,
We definitely would have been friends.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, but that was it, and I say my big a big turning point, or a big well, there was a couple big heroes that I have. The first one was Elvis Presley. I was really into Elvis when I was like, I think when I was like 7 years old. And I first saw Elvis, and I saw his movies, I think first on TV, and then got introduced to his music. And I really love the whole Elvis thing, his whole the whole rock star, and just like,
Right.
and his energy, and and
What a big
the
presence.
charisma, yeah. And
Yes.
so yeah, I love that. And then I guess I think I was about 14 or 15. No, I don't know, I'm 13, I guess. And my oldest sister actually gave me my first David Bowie album for Christmas. And it was his album of cover songs, Bowie pinups it was.
Perhaps. Yeah,
And
I have that on vinyl.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I did, but I lost it in one of my many crises I had over the years. But yeah, I had that on vinyl, and then I just went nuts collecting David Bowie stuff. And yeah, I would really like sit in my room and sing David Bowie songs into the mirror, and just like I really was, my plan was to use like the David Bowie blueprint for rock stardom, and to, be the next David Bowie. That was my plan. And
That's a good
yeah, so
aspiration to have. Yeah.
yeah, that was my and as I, just the anniversary for Bela Lugosi's dead just passed here. It reminded me that I got that when I was 13 years old too. I had friends that in high school that we would go. There were friends that I only went to like these record stores with, these independent record stores that so few of them exist now, but that was the thing, pouring through all these records and actually, buying albums because the cover was cool, like not even knowing.
The artwork matters.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And I think I actually bought the Bauhaus Bela Lugosi's Dead. That was just based on what the band looked like, and I thought they were so cool. I'm not even sure I had heard the song. So that wasn't one of those buys just based on the cover and how cool the band looked.
Well, I would say that's a good impulse buy.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was lucky to have a lot of great ones like that. So yeah, and so that's how I got started. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Well, if you remember, those were the two artists that I mentioned that were a couple of my favorites. And when I first heard your song, it stopped me in my tracks. The first one I heard, I think, was Vampire Everything, but
Oh, okay. Yeah.
it stopped me in my tracks because those are two of my favorite artists. And I mean, you do your own thing, but
Yes. That's a success for me.
you have that power, definitely. So yes.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you.
Also, about your new album, I've listened to it. I have it. I've listened to it several times. It's one of my favorite, and I have several of the tracks on a playlist. And Promises, the very first track on there, is so catchy, so fun to sing along to, and yeah,
Thanks.
I love the energy of it. It was one of those, like several of your other songs. First time I heard it, I was like, oh, I got to hear that again and again. So I went to Spotify like immediately, and yeah, so I'm happy to have the album. But
Oh, thank
yeah,
you.
so a question that I'm sure a lot of people have, and I wanted to ask you was, so what was the creative process behind Promises when you were writing
Well, it was, that was one of the songs that, my producer, James K. Ultra, who I feel like is kind of my bandmate, I mean, I sent him
it?
these songs in a certain condition and he like does his magic with them and we go back and forth and building these things. And this is one of those times where, if there's a bit of a lull in our relationship, like, and I haven't been sent him many new songs lately or whatever. And it's interesting how this relationship builds over time. It's like I want to impress him, like and so sometimes he's like, he'll get an idea, say, yeah, I think it needs something. Let's do that. And with this one, when I was writing Promises, the impetus of it was I want to write a song where James just goes, wow, that's perfect, just the way it is. And so this is like a really cool thing about a building, having a relationship like that with a co-creator over time is like trying to impress each other, and that goes for like this whole like kind um coterie of like extended musical family like Kid Barrett and Bassa Farouk and bands like Another Abyss and
Oh yeah,
um
I love all their work. The ones that you mentioned, it's a great little music community on Instagram.
yeah, yeah, and I find myself trying, yeah, I really value that, too, that community thing. And I really, um, I find myself trying to impress, other musicians, and especially James. So this was like, we have been talking about writing like kind of shorter, really poppy things that are really catchy, but still kind of dark. And, just riding that line of it, is it a dance song? Is it goth? Is it, what is it? And so I just like, with this one, I started off with like a tempo. I wanted it to be fast, and
Mhm.
and really it was just experimenting with different riffs, synthesizer riffs and stuff like that, and building this thing. But it was, yeah, that was the main impetus of it, is that I wanted to impress James and give him a song where he just was like, whoa, it's done, it's so great, and he really responded to that. But then he added some really cool things on top of it, of course,
Right.
like he always does. And
Well, the fact that number one, the first track on the album tells me he must have liked it.
yeah, yeah, and I left that all to him. I have to say, he did the whole order of the tracks and everything like that, because I felt too close to that to make
Right.
rational decisions about that. And it was also hard too, because bringing like 6 or 7 singles to it, or 8, no, or 9 singles to it, like that we had done over the last year,
The whole
and then
thing
and
had
adding these 3 new ones. It was like, oh, what song do you put first, and what song's going to be the single off of this? And so, but he felt very strongly that it was Promises, and so I just said, okay, let's go with that. Yeah. And yeah, so that was the process there. But the um the lyrics to it was interesting, because I really had no idea what I was writing about. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of artists, of course, about this, and it was definitely a thing where the music was all done, and I was walking around with it in my head, and this line of there was something optimistic about it. To me, in the music, there was something both optimistic and melancholy at the same time. So I was like, I don't know what it was. And I get, I was going through this like extended brutal divorce, and
okay. I'm sorry to hear
and it,
that.
yeah, no, it's all for the best. It's all for the best. But it was like, I mean, it's like you hear it and it sounds like a love song, and oh, I'm getting
Right.
down on one knee to someone. And I didn't have that at all. I really just had things falling apart in that area. Um, so I didn't really know what it was I was writing about, but that's happened to me a few times with songs too. And then later on, I look back and I go, maybe
Yeah,
this was
that
like
makes
a
sense.
promise to myself, um,
Right. Okay.
to like kind of be true to myself, and love myself. I mean, that's what has turned into it for me. It's been more about, you know, working on like unconditional love for myself, and forgiveness for myself, and 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 kind of holding a promise for that into the future, So it kind of turned into that kind of thing for me. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a very positive outcome that you've had with it. And I sense the melancholy in it. And that's usually what I go for. So that spoke
Me
to me
too.
as
Me
well.
too. I'm
I
like,
mean,
give
I
me
try to be a
Smiths and Cure.
romantic, but there has to be some melancholy always.
Yeah.
No, it's a great song, and you can tell, or I can tell as a listener that you pulled from somewhere, something big like happening, and it's an important song. I can hear that it translates. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad, because it's all it can really just be like this little silly electronic boppy dance thing. And
Right.
yeah, but it's like I'm the same way. I love the melancholy in there, and somehow always end up with that. Like if I pick up a guitar, like I did yesterday, part of the work I do, I do shifts, taking care of special needs kids, and I'm taking care of this kid that has cerebral palsy, and he wanted some time to himself. And I walked into the other room, there was a guitar there. I picked it up, and it's just like instantly start playing a sad song on the guitar.
Aw.
It just, oh, I got a little one here too.
Oh yeah, mine just almost knocked my device over, so I may have to pick her up and introduce her in a moment too. You can't lock them. You can't like close the door because they'll cry. At least mine is so spoiled.
Oh, I know. These ones are too, because they go inside and outside. That's why the neighbors have complained, because they just
They walk through
they
their
were a little
yard.
scared, and they went into their yard and started pooping in their yard.
Oh,
So their
oh
yard
no.
became the toilet. So that's the point of
Oh,
contention,
yeah. I live in the city, so mine don't go outside.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
we have a catio, but yeah, they don't go.
Patio.
They don't go outside. Outside.
How have I never heard the word catio before? I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty big over here, actually. Like, have a screened or glassed in area, for your cat to
Oh
play.
yeah.
Safe.
Oh yeah. Oh cool. Yeah.
Uh, the other thing I wanted to ask, just follow up to what you've been saying.
Yeah.
So what was James's input into the song? How did that go? How did it change? And
Well, I would say, firstly, what I gave him probably sounded like something you would play on a little mini Casio keyboard, toy keyboard or something, which has its a certain charm. But just what he does for sonic quality, he just totally blew it up so that it was this big sounding thing. Oh, hello.
say hi. This is Ash.
That's
Um,
okay.
yeah, she's so spoiled. I can't close the door. I can't close her out. She'll
Yeah.
just cry constantly. But she's having some zoomies right now. So
Yeah, that's what started here with four kittens. There's like a couch right here, and there was four kittens going nuts, zooming and wrestling. And I was like, okay, I'll see how this goes. But now they've
oh
exhausted
wow.
themselves, and it's nap
Oh, that's good. I'm hoping we get there soon.
Yeah, so I mean, but with James, so it was he is like so talented at making kind of blowing things up sonically so
Yeah,
that it's
everything
much
that
much
I've
bigger
heard,
sounding. And
everything I've heard he's been involved in is really impressive.
yeah, yeah, he's amazing. But he also added this like kind of the keyboard solo, when there's a little bit of a break, that almost, to me, it almost sounds like someone playing the accordion too. So it gives some like that like old school romantic vibe too. The like it's like yeah, so he had that whole keyboard part, which I had to keep asking him to jack it up, because he had it more down in the mix, but I really wanted to feature his
Yeah.
keyboard solo
No,
because it was
it
so
adds a nice
kishy and
theatrical
cool.
touch. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, so that was it really. And he's also just so great with, I mean, a lot of times I'm sending him, like I could literally be sending him like 10 vocal tracks, and he just finds a way to layer things and puzzle, fit them together, and with a slightly different frequencies accentuated, so that everything just kind of lays in there in a very like
Very
fulfilling
sweet.
way. Yes.
Yeah.
So that was the thing. But I would say the big, even more than that, like I mentioned before, was the influence of like that. I love him so much, and now we have this
Really wanted to
history together,
express.
and I want to impress him, you know. And so
Yes.
it was like it was this kind of yeah. It was his influence from his emotional influence.
Oh, well, that's great. Yeah,
Yeah,
and that
yeah,
adds another special layer to the song.
yeah, yeah.
Well, I would say it's a success for
I'm
sure.
sorry. It's
I would definitely say it's a success. What
oh,
you guys
thanks. Yeah,
put together. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I feel good about it, and I can listen to it and enjoy it too, which is a great thing that's happened to me a bit later in life. You know, I know a lot of musicians feel this way, and I was like this when I was younger. When I'd listen back to stuff, I'd always hear, "Oh, something I want to change," and there's something I wish was better. And ever since I've been working with James, I never feel that way, and it's such a gift. It's just the combination of things that we have going on, and I value what he does so much that I can listen to it and just enjoy it, you know, which is like
Yeah.
such a gift, and really helps with like when it comes to promotion and stuff like that, because you like I've talked with a lot of artists about this too, about just getting kind of burnout when it comes to the promoting part of things is so difficult. And I know I like, you know, as why I really appreciate your help with this, because I get to the point where I'm like, oh, I just feel saturated and overexposed,
Right.
and I don't I just can't go out there and be like, look at me, listen to me like one more time.
Right. Well, just creating the music and then getting it, the album finished, that takes so much energy,
Yeah.
out of you. So that is really nice. You have someone you can totally trust and that relationship. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I think I highly recommend it. I highly recommend it. And it's too, it's not just the artist that he has. This is turning into a love letter to James, but it's just I mean
Hi,
I mean
James.
his skills are like his technical skills are amazing, but it's also um his communication skills, you know, all the back and forth, all the, you know, these little things of like, oh, maybe we should change this, or maybe we should redo a vocal. You know, those little messages can come in so many different ways, and you can feel completely like, oh, you know, in something like that, or you can feel like really supported and excited to to get, you know, just try something and go for something better. And somehow he manages to you know, communicate things in such a way that I always feel inspired and supported and excited about where we're going. And that is like a real art, you know.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. That's thank you for talking to me, and that's I feel like I know so much more about the song now. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna
well,
listen to it with new ears.
yeah, well, thank you. And you know, yeah, this has been really cool, and I appreciate all your support and all your kind words about the album. And yeah, it's been so great to meet you. Like I said, I knew from the start. Oh, okay, this is one of my people here. This is one of my tribe. This is good.
Yeah, well, thank you.
So I
And
really
then
appreciate it. And I want to officially take back that Retro Casie does not have a Southern drawl. Okay. This was
yeah,
a fantasy that I had.
I'm sorry to disappoint anybody listening, but no, I'm not actually from Georgia. I'm from Hawaii. So quite a
But
difference.
now I can see that. Do you have like indigenous Hawaiian heritage?
Well, my, my dad was from there in Florida
Okay.
when my mom was in college, and then they she moved with him to Hawaii. So yeah. And
Okay.
I spent my younger years there, like my early childhood. And we moved around a bit, but we ended up here. I've been here so long. I probably should have an accent, but um not quite. Well, one thing is in the city of Atlanta, most of the people here are transplants from other places,
Yeah.
like myself. So, and it's very urban, it's very dense. It's a big city, and we have a lot of celebrities because of the film industry is really big here now.
Oh, that's right.
You
Yeah.
know, a lot of the shows like Stranger Things are filmed here,
Oh,
and
is that
so
right? Oh, cool.
yeah, so many movies. So it's this isn't really the place where we have like Southern culture. But if you
Yeah,
go
yeah.
outside of the city, yeah, you're gonna need a translator. I know from experience. I took a job and I learned what a true Southern accent is.
Yeah, well, like I told you, I had this girlfriend that was from Rex, Georgia, and like I knew people in Atlanta. A lot of people. I said, yeah, yeah. I had a girl. She was from from Rex, Georgia, and people don't even know where that
Yeah,
is.
you know what?
They're so like in the mountains,
Right. When you
small.
mentioned it, I've never heard of it.
Yeah,
But I don't really leave the city too often. So
yeah.
I don't really fit in too much in the country.
Well, I hope I make it to. I hope I make it to Atlanta someday. Maybe we can spin some tunes in person.
Oh yeah. No, that would be awesome.
Spin some tunes, play some cat with cats.
Oh yeah. Well, we actually have a big scene here. We have so many golf clubs, we have dance nights.
Yeah.
It's every band pretty much stops through here. So it's it's actually, it's a cool place.
Yeah, it's a thriving scene there for sure. I've heard people say that. Yeah.
In spite of
Oh,
being out in the South, it's yeah.
I think
Got a lot.
we're gonna get cut off with my Zoom because I only have 30 minutes. But
Oh,
I just want to thank you again, Casey. This has been wonderful, and I really appreciate your help with the album. And yeah, let's do this again if you're open to it sometime. Why not?
definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's discuss Vampire Everything next. Your next song.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well,
So
we could. Yeah.
yeah, okay, great. Yeah, whenever you want to. No, I'm really honored though, because like I said, I'm a fan. I truly am enjoying the album, so I appreciate it. I'm happy to
Thank,
do
thank you
it.
so much, Casey. Well, have a great weekend. I'll talk to you
Okay,
soon.
same to you. Bye.
Bye.